Hello, this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, and welcome to another awesome interview. I'm so excited to chat with this incredible woman today. And for those of you who are new, welcome. We're so happy that you're here. And what we do here is we get free from any sort of disordered relationship with food. If it's hurting your life, then we just give you the tools to be done with that. That's what the whole mission is. Without any sort of, therapy or medications or restrictions or meal plans or anything like that, just using our own brains to be at peace with food, to be normal eaters, and to just move on with our lives without food being a big deal. And I'm so excited for you to hear this amazing story today of another real woman who I got to work with and who is just such an incredible delight, and just excited for you guys to hear her real story from her. So want to welcome on today, Eileen. Hello, hello.
Hi.
So happy that you are on and so excited to celebrate you. So, this is Eileen, you guys, and she is just so awesome. The depth of understanding. She came to this program with so much awesome knowledge already, an intellectual understanding of all sorts of great concepts and mindfulness. And this is a woman who has done the work, right? And so I was so excited to be able to, coach her and, go into these principles to just help her to fix the things that she wanted to. So why don't you start out just talking a little bit about your story? Sort of how did you get to the place that you were with food before we started working together? What's sort of your origin story, and what were you struggling with most when we first connected?
Do you want me to start when I first started dieting and what happened when I was younger, or just right around the first time I talked to you?
Yeah, no, great. So why don't you just quickly go through what was your journey? Even when you were younger, right? I started dieting here. This is when my relationship with food sort of got off. And then we can sort of fast forward.
So the first diet I remember going on was when I think I was 14, and it was pretty innocent. It wasn't like I was doing it because I was overweight. I remember I had braces, and I really don't know exactly why I went on the diet, but I know I'd seen my mom dieting, etc. I went on this diet, and it was encouraging me to eat an apple as a snack and only eat 3 meals a day, whatever. So I went on this diet, and I remember I got praise from my mom and dad, but especially from my mom, I think I got some praise. And praise was few and far between in our family. I have a younger sister. So I know that in my mind really made me feel good. So I think that was the catalyst for a lot of what happened after that was turning to food as a way of trying to get some control in my life. So I think it was after that, when I was a teenager, I started dating, and I went to an all-girls Catholic high school. So there was all these mixed messages, you can date, but don't get sexually involved. And just a lot of confusion about what is dating all about. And I really didn't have a lot of mentors. I couldn't really talk to my parents that easily. So I remember one time coming home from a date, and I think there was some sexual pressure, and I, of course, didn't feel comfortable. And I got home and I started eating some leftovers, and it felt really good. I got some stress relief from that. And that was my first time realizing that food could be something that made me feel good, or that numbed out some confusion and pain. And then after that, just some of the memories are really not getting along with my mom very well, having confusion. We had a French exchange student stay over, and she was just smoking cigarettes and trying to get me to do this and that, all this confusion. And I remember feeling really unhappy with my mom, and I think I was 16. And that summer after 16, when I was around 17, I started to control my food by restricting. I thought that maybe I needed to go on another diet and restrict. So then I wasn't eating at all, basically, and I felt really powerful, and I felt control. And I think there was a backlash of, my mom can't tell me what to do when it comes to food. And so then that lasted for a while of not eating, really starving, having anorexic tendencies, or label, I guess. And my parents then said to me, my aunt noticed that I was really thin, and I was obsessed with getting on the scale and making sure that I didn't gain weight. It was a pain. It was a really big obsession, but I still felt so in control and control and control. And my aunt told my mom, "You can see your daughter's ribs. It's really terrible. You got to do something." So my parents said, "We're going to put you in the hospital if you don't start eating." And guess what I discovered after that? Binging. So that meal that I had previously, or maybe around the same time, really liked when I got home from dating, became binging because I tried to deprive myself for so long. I started binging.
Yeah.
Then I used laxatives, and that became a whole nother hell that I lived in for a few years. And I mean, it just continued to get to where my whole life became an obsession with my weight and the number. And so I was no longer anorexic. Then I was bulimic with laxatives. Then I did that for a few years. Then I moved out of the house, and it turned into more of a binge eating disorder where it would be periodic dieting, crazy about my weight, and then episodes of binging. And I still didn't realize at all that I had an issue with dieting. I thought that there was something wrong with me. So that
Yeah.
was the beginning part of my hell.
And I love, I mean, there's just so much just good data there, right? About like really how this starts. Like you said, like, oh, I didn't know it was an issue with dieting. You know, it's just like we sort of go throughout life and it starts with a diet. And then, like you said, it escalates. Like it just gets more and more out of control. And that's a really normal way to feel of like, there's something wrong with me. It's not like, oh, there's an issue going on or this is a cycle. It's like, what's wrong with me? And so many of us, like, I know that for me, Eileen, I didn't know I had an eating disorder for so long. I just thought I was like weird and crazy and out of control and what's wrong with me, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I'm so glad you bring that up. So how many years did you just deal with disordered relationships with food and body and dieting? Like how long was that until we
Oh,
connected?
just so long. I mean, over 30 years, 30 years. And
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, even in my first marriage, I remember being drawn to a Burger King and taking the binge foods and going to a railroad track and eating all the food, feeling terrible, and sitting my car on the railroad track, sitting my car on the track, crying, not understanding, why do I keep doing this to my body? Why do I keep doing this to my body? And I mean, it just really, really took over my life for so long. And then I got into different programs like OA, and then FA, Food Addicts and Recovery Anonymous, later in my adult life. And just again, it's like what makes this group of Overeaters Anonymous or Food Addicts and Recovery Anonymous, why are these 5,000 people in the whole world that are in FA, why are we so special and different? I really started to wonder, is it me? Am I broken? And that's when I looked up online, because I'd always liked yoga. I looked up online, can yoga help with compulsive eating? And what I found out from that was ultimately how I got introduced to you, but I was introduced to that book, Brain Over Binge, from
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So awesome. And I love that we're in this age of the internet where it's like, because before you're with the people, right? Like
Yeah.
you're with the people and you're like, okay, like we're different, we're broken, we're always going to be broken, we're never going to get better. And I love how many amazing women like you I've been able to connect with because there are so many smart women out there that say, ah, really? Like, is there really something wrong? Am I really broken forever? And it's a quick Google search to like, well, what about this, right?
Yeah,
And
that was
then,
amazing to me.
yeah. And so I'm so happy and so when you first started sort of learning about the approach of just being done with this, like, like using your brain, right? And like, sort of introducing yourself to these principles, like, how did you feel at first when you kind of ran across a new approach, a new way of thinking about this?
Well, when I first was introduced to you through Catherine Hansen and somebody else that I saw your video. I saw you speaking. I'm like, oh my God, look at how beautiful she is. She is so enthused. Oh, I don't know, maybe for her. And yeah, right. I was just like, nah, I don't know. I mean, I really looked at your videos and I thought about it, and like even Catherine Hansen with the brain over Binge, yeah, that's nice that it worked, but she got over it so quickly, So I was like, then when I started listening more to your story, I was like, oh, she did suffer with certain things that I can relate to, and but I was really skeptical. So I mean,
Yeah.
it took me a while to listening to your videos and stuff to think maybe your program works. Look at all these testimonials.
I know. It's like, well, there are all these people, but I mean, that's a totally normal way to feel of like, okay, well, it worked for them, but I don't know. And yeah, so it's like it sounds like you were in sort of that place of, well, I'm not sure about this. And then like contrast that with sort of like, how were you feeling? Not contrast it, but like, let's also bring into play here, what was your relationship with food like at the time when we were first getting in touch? Like, what were some of those sort of dark days for you? Like, how bad was it? Like, how did it impact your life? How were you feeling at the time, Eileen?
Just unable to separate myself from always returning to binge eating, like realizing that I had other issues that I was working on that I could conquer in my life, dealing with just everyday problems, but then the habits of binge eating were always looming. It's almost like I, like 3 steps forward in making progress in the way I really want to see my life move. And then boom, the dark blanket is over me again, isolating in the house, eating. And I thought to myself, okay, like all of this stuff that everybody's talking about that you were sharing, it all makes sense. There's got to be something maybe that I could look into here. So I wasn't opening my mind to what you were sharing, like with, well, these people are getting help here, and my principles really, are helping. Yeah, well, but I was sitting there with this cherry Danish and ready to get into another binge when I called you. When what really motivated me was this free 45-minute call. It's like, I could do that. I could talk to Lydia. And
Yeah.
there it was. The Danish was sitting there. The dark days were so dark that, I mean, it's like I couldn't even enjoy moments that I know everybody around me was enjoying, but I just had this gloom. It's like this something was preventing me from being in the moment. I was always future tripping, worried about my weight, obsessed with my body, hurting in some way or another physically. It was just always the same thing. I couldn't get in the groove with life. Couldn't do it. It affected my work. It affected my relationship with my husband, my family members. I would isolate. I wouldn't go to play. I mean, there were so many times that I missed experiences with people, even some people that had now passed on because, oh, I don't want to go there. I'm heavy or whatever, worried about what people think all the time. It's just terrible.
Yeah. So it just sounds like you were like mentally exhausted, right? And it
Yeah.
just took like this so much energy. And that was just really keeping you from enjoying the things that should be enjoyable in life, right? It's like being with people and being present even in the environment. Like you said, there's like this dark blanket over everything, right?
Yeah. All I'm concerned about is trying to change my body shape,
Yeah.
which I didn't think about it until I started working with you. I didn't think about that's what I was doing.
Yeah. It's like now you see, you're like, oh, wait, there's this. But at
Oh
the
my
time, it's just like confusing,
God.
right?
Like, yeah, that's what I was doing. I was trying to
Yeah.
change my body shape, and now it sounds so shallow and absurd because I don't want to, I'm 53. I don't want to be 83 and sitting on my deathbed going, yeah, but at least I'm losing 20 pounds now. I look different. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah. And I mean, I love that you bring that up because like we can't change things that we're not aware of. So just that awareness, like, it's so neat that you can say now, like, oh, that's what was going on. And you got exactly what you needed to change that. And like, but before, like when it was just you and the Danish and the, what am I going to do? Like, I mean, what were some of the things that you were most concerned about, Eileen? Like you said, like going the rest of your life as a binge eater. Like, what were some of your biggest concerns about that, about not fixing this?
Well, and it tied into something that, again, I learned in the program I didn't know it was connected. But not only was I spending money on binge foods and just kind of being in another zone in my brain, I was also online shopping constantly, whether it was for food or other things. So I had no idea they were connected. And after I graduated from your program, I said, guess what? I'm not even online shopping. And then you said, oh, yeah, that's true. They are connected, aren't they? And I'm, oh my God. So it was like, yeah, they are connected. And it was that compulsive habit of, well, this is what I know what to do. This is what I know what to do. And I just was listening to what I thought was, I guess I thought that that was just me and my sadness and my eating disorder self. And I just online shop when I'm sad. And it's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, it was just all consuming. Um, and then when I'm able to now see things differently, like you said,
Hmm.
people that I thought were in my family, friends that were like, I was worried about them because they looked a little chubby. They were heavy. They need to go on a diet. They need to, oh my God, now I'm like, hi, how are you? Like, and we can talk about things that matter. And I used
Yeah.
to call my cousin and say, hi, oh my God, I'm 157 or whatever it was at the time of trying to control the weight, which is, who cares? 157 was nothing. My cousin was 148, 160. It's like, so what? How are you doing? That's how I'm doing. That's how all I was doing. So it's like,
Yeah, it's like everything is measured by this number, and like,
now it's a little embarrassing to think about, but I'm sure they forgive me.
well, and I love that you're just like, just this openness about really, like, we look back on it and we're like, oh my gosh, is that really the case? But we're celebrating that the only reason you can do that is because you know now. Like, you
Yeah.
bring up a great point, Eileen, of like, we don't know what we don't know. So many women who go through this program are like, oh, I had no idea. It's not like they're like, oh, I knew exactly what was going on, but I just didn't fix it. It was like, I didn't fix it because I really didn't know what was going on.
I
And
mean,
like the connecting of all the different the online shopping, and like when you get free in one space, you get free in all sorts of other spaces. So yeah, that's beautiful. So anything about like that first side of it, about like just the dark days, just like things that you were concerned about, anything else that you want to share about really just what it was like to be a binge eater?
um, just, I guess, consumed with not knowing how to get out of my dark moods, and really a lot of self-hatred, and waking up in the morning and just feeling bad about myself, and thinking about food and what am I going to eat and how am I going to, you know, manipulate this and do that. So that so now that was so dark. That was so dark, and it was all food related, and shape and body related and weight related, numbers, numbers, numbers. So yeah, that was just, I didn't think I'd be able to see things differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know it's not an easy thing.
Yeah.
And so proud of you for making the choice to change it. So, we had a session together. Awesome. Um, and then I'm excited to celebrate sort of where you're at now. But let's look a little bit of like, I mean, was it an easy choice to decide to really fix this? Like, what were some hesitations or fears that you had? And then why did you do it anyway?
Oh, I mean, because I had done so many programs, so many diets, so many quick fix that I just didn't, I think I felt like, I guess I was losing hope, because when I was in the food addicts and recovery group, they told us that was the last house on the block. This is the way, this is the only place that you're going to get rid of your binge problem. And so when that didn't end up working for me, I really thought there was no other way. And until I realized there's got to be another way, because like I said, there's only 5,000 people in that group worldwide. So somebody's got to know something
Yeah.
and, that can help. But I was really hesitant because, um, like you said, I'm pretty smart. I've read a lot of books. I know a lot of things, but then I found out it's not really about knowing, being smart. It's about kind of a whole new way to see things. So it's just that I needed to turn the other way. Like I said to you before, I just didn't know how. I'd never heard something before that, before I talked to you that day, that clicked. So I was definitely skeptical. So um, I thought, well, I'll just talk to Lydia and see what she has to say.
And we got that first step together, and it was awesome just really getting the clarity with you. And I know, like you said, like you were skeptical. So what ultimately, with the skepticism, with the I don't know about this, what ultimately, I know that you said, well, it was about seeing things a new way, but at the moment, at the decision moment, you didn't know that, right? So what made you decide to fix this anyway?
Because on this long journey of pain, suffering with the binge eating and the groups and everything, and I guess I felt like, okay, I'm starting to get wiser around what I want to do with my life, and I knew intellectually I hadn't been binging as much. I knew I could get a handle somehow on my shopping. I knew something could happen. So I wasn't like in the state of desperation, right?
Yeah.
But what happened was I was in the middle of starting to binge, and I thought, what the heck, man? This isn't the way I want to live my life. I don't want to have this Danish here, being dependent on a Danish that I don't even want. So okay, I'm talking to you. I'm still a little skeptical. And then it was kind of like the way you phrased it, more like, well, what do you want? What do you want, Eileen? And then nobody ever really asked me that before. I want to be free of all this, huh? And then you were like, let's do it. And I was like, okay. It was just like that easy. Well,
So
what did I have to lose?
yeah, it's like, I love it. And in fact, I was chatting with another amazing woman who had graduated, and she just said, like, you just have to do everything before you lose hope. And I'm just like, awesome. Yeah. So just like, okay, let's do it. So for you, how many weeks was it into the program before you really started feeling differently or acting differently around food?
like right away, after talking to you, I didn't even eat that Danish. I was so excited. And then, a week into it, I was feeling totally different around food.
Yeah.
So
So awesome. So you
because
were feeling different around
yeah,
food.
I had a tool to use. Yeah, that
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah. Beautiful. So about a weekend was sort of the place for you that you were like, okay, like things are just fundamentally different.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful. And now after graduation, what do you enjoy most? Like, what are your biggest wins maybe along the way in the program, or what are some of like the things that are so different around what food and life is like on the side of freedom?
Food freedom is the thing I enjoy so much. Not being, um, when you said that you eat, out of convenience, you eat for convenience and what you feel like eating, and you tap into your body. I'm like, what? She eats that way? I thought that, oh no, all these life health coaches, they have a plan and this and that. That has been one of the best things that ever happened. It's like, I don't freak out if I don't plan a lunch or remember to take my lunch, or let's say I have a meeting and we all decide to go out to lunch or something. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. So somebody else once said, well, I don't really think about food that much. And I was like, what? Like now it's kind of like I think about food and I do prep food to have ready, and I like having food available for my lunches and dinners, but I don't have to think about food all the time. And sometimes I will eat what's convenient. It's like,
Because it's not a big deal.
it's not that doesn't define me. I don't talk about it all the time. I don't tell my husband we have to pull over and get something because we're on a road trip, and he's like, what? Like, it's just that and the online shopping have been huge for
Yeah.
my life. Yeah.
How much, I don't know if you can just maybe think of a rough number, but how much do you think you're saving every year by not binging and not doing all the online shopping?
Well, so let's just give a rough, what's like $500 a month?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Let's see. So $500 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like about $6,000 a year.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
I've never gone on vacation, so because I didn't have the extra 6,000 to go on a vacation.
So in the
So
next 10 years, an
planning a
extra
vacation.
60,000. Yeah, go on a vacation. Yeah. What would you rather do with the $60,000 that you're not going to be that you're saving now in the next 10 years?
Yeah, so much more.
Yeah, beautiful. Love that. And like being able to be freed up around food, like that food freedom, how does that change just other areas of your life? Like, what is it like for you, like mentally, emotionally, to not have to obsess about food all the time?
Well, because I'm eating more intuitively, to what my body wants, what I'm tuning into, I find that it carries over into other aspects of my life as well. So I'm just being more intuitive around looking at my other habitual reactions, and maybe, do I really want to act on this? How am I feeling here? Like the other day, I was looking out the window and I could see my neighbor walking with her dog, and it's a pretty ferocious looking dog, and it sometimes, I think, wants to eat my cat, but she's got it on a leash and she's pulling on it because I couldn't see out the window the cat, but I could see that it must have been one of my cats, and the dog was like gonna lunge forward, and this woman had the leash, and intuitively I was able to be in the moment and just think, oh, that dog's going to go for my kitty, and then boom, it went for the cat, and instead of freaking out, like running out the door trying to do something, I just intuitively was able to just, it's going to work out fine. And my cat jumped away like it did in nature, whatever. The woman, lunged and walked away, and that was just an example of me. It's tuning into that feeling that I have around food now of what what's going on. Like something will come up, and that fear came up, but I didn't. So I'm not fearing my experiences around food,
Yeah.
around other things that are going on. I'm intuitively being able to just tap in to how am I feeling in the moment, and how do I want to react. And you said in the program, Eileen, you can do whatever you want, and that's just part of it. It's like, I can do whatever I want. I feel this. I don't have to act on. It's just like changing my whole life. So
Love it. Love it. So it sounds like just overall, you're just more peaceful and present just in your life. Like you just deal with thoughts and feelings differently in just a more intuitive way that
Mhm.
serves you better. And it's really nice to just not have to obsess about food all the time.
And it started with getting in touch intuitively with the food. I think that has been the foundation for me. And
Yeah.
I don't think I could have gone the other way, because I've done a lot of other things where meditating and trying to get in touch with being in the moment and the power of now and all that. But the foundation I needed to go through first was to get intuitively into eating, so that I could then see and go from there. Yeah.
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 Oh, I'm so glad that you bring that up. That is really interesting. I see that as a really common experience is so many of these amazing strong women that like they're masters in meditation and they're yoga instructors and they're like they know all this stuff and they are very mindful in all these other areas. And then with food it's just totally different and it's just like a mess and they don't understand it because it's not like anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the other way around, I don't know what it is about food, but I see so many women like you get free around food and then everything else is just like, oh, it's just like so nice. It's just like, oh, now I'm free in my relationships and in my career. I've had people double their businesses in a month just applying these principles to then their business. It's just,
It's
it's so
awesome.
cool to see.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I'm newly graduated, so a little bit of the fear came back, and I told you today we've been having some stress going on in Northern California with the fires. And so my lower brain wanted to get really into that, and let's have a food fest, because you're feeling stressed. And so I overate, and it was like, that's some data that tells me I'm so happy I don't have to worry about doing this anymore, because I have the tool to look at it, intuitively say, I don't want to do this. I have the tools to move on to the next day.
Yeah.
Before, I would have just beat the hell out of myself, and it would have been the worst thing ever. And now I have more compassion. That's another thing. I have more compassion for myself. When that happens, it's like, that's too bad, because that doesn't feel good, but you reacted, and it's an old habit, and you wanted to go back to that, and didn't feel good, so move on.
Move on. That's awesome. And I love how you brought that up, just like the contrast. Like before, you would have just been beating yourself up and,
Oh my God.
stress is no fun, but it's part of life, right? So it's like, it's so neat to have that experience when you come to a place where you would have done completely otherwise before. This would have been binging. This would have been depression. This would have been black cloud for days. And then it's like, oh, okay, now we're just moving on. It's just like, it's so neat for you to have that reference of like, oh, wow, this is so different than it would have been. So yeah, that's really, really cool.
And it would have been a diet. It would have been a diet again, because
Yeah.
the binging, and then the dieting cycle, and then that leads to the deprivation, and then the binging. So innocently not knowing that those damn diets are going to get me into trouble, and make me want to binge again. So
Yeah.
it's nice having the information. Thank you for your help so much.
Oh, it has been such an honor to be with you on your journey. You're so much fun. Like I felt like we just had a party for the whole time. You know what I mean? Like we just had a good time. And I just have loved just seeing you get more and more free, just your transformation, even in just like a handful of weeks. You showed up, you did the work, you were so coachable. Like, these are all beautiful things that I look for in women before I invite them into the program. Like, we highly qualify the people that we invite in, because I want to make sure you're going to show up, and so you can have amazing results. And just so, so proud of you. Anything else that you're just celebrating on this side of it that you just love, just like how you're free on this side, or other neat wins that we haven't touched on?
You did ask a lot of questions. I noticed that when with the interviewing, to see if I qualified with the program, you asked a lot of questions. And so I was a little worried, well, what's this program is this going to be a lot of work? Do I have to get, dive into this and that? So I just want to say there was work to do, but what you offered was simple tools that I can carry on into my life. So like the journaling has been really helpful for me. So that's been good. I've been doing that. Just, I don't know. It's been amazing getting in touch with how I feel and what do I want? What do I want? And another thing I'm learning is, so we were being coached and we were talking to each other on an app, and it was great. But I wanted to fix people. I wanted to do coaching. And so something that helped me was, again, compassionately help yourself, and that energy is what can help others. I'm learning that, because I want to fix, I want to help, and that kind of distracts from what I need to realize and carry on with, is just tune in when I'm feeling out of sorts and stressed, and don't try to go outward and fix and do all this, but tune in, enjoy the tools I have, and then just always realize it's there, like it's not going anywhere. And then and I appreciate that your program wasn't so intense, and I didn't have to do lots of different things that got me confused. It was just very it was perfect. Thanks. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And, I love that you bring that up. Like, it's the laboratory of your own life, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, these are tools for your thoughts and your actions. It's not like we're, flying you to some island and we're going to do this intensive it's just like, no, like, you're just going to live your normal life, and you're just going to know what to do so that you don't have to binge anymore. That's it.
Yeah, and there wasn't like a lot of detail about analyzing why I did this or what is it. It's just like, yeah, here's your story and what happened, and here's what you can do, and it's awesome.
Yeah, love it. And just celebrating you, and just congratulations on sort of this capsule, like sharing your story. Like that's a really neat thing. And you have an incredible story. And I'm just so excited for all the freedom that you've gained. And like you've seen, this is the gift that keeps on giving, right? You know, it's like you just get
Yeah,
more and more free. So
I want to just keep, yeah, progressing with it, because you said it that this program's only the beginning, you know, and so like this little setback, it's like, oh, okay, this is data, and then let's keep moving. And I'm so excited for what can continue to happen, because I'm, you know, can only move forward. Like even if I step back a little, it doesn't matter, because progress is always there. So
yeah,
that's
you know how to do it, and you have the tools, and yeah, yes, love it.
yeah.
So anything else on your mind? Just like, do you feel like our interview today is complete, or is there anything else that was just like on your heart that you wanted to share today?
I just thank you again for a wonderful program, and I hope people really, you know, that need help can resonate with it. And I'm hoping to, with my energy, that someone picks up on it. That's wonderful. And thanks again, Lydia. You're great.
Hey, congratulations, Eileen, on your freedom and the choice that you made to do what you want to do. That
Yes.
is a beautiful thing, and I think it makes a really good life. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I mean, thank you, Eileen, for sharing. It's just such a beautiful thing. And you know, if you are just struggling, and if you're like Eileen, you're like, well, I could do that. Maybe I could, you know, just see, right? It's like there's no commitment to anything. Like this is just, I mean, we're here, the cause is going forth, right? It's like we have a ton of people apply all the time to be part of the program, but we want to help everyone with at least just that first step. Maybe you'll be a fit for the program, maybe you won't. But either way, like you can get that first step. And if you go to lydialifestyle.com, there's just a link there. We have an amazing Facebook group. We have a free ebook. And there's also just a little link there. And just see if there are openings we do free 45-minute sessions. And you can literally just talk with someone one-on-one. We can get that first step to freedom, and that is something that we offer to the world. So, you know, if you want to take advantage of that, and if you really feel ready to change this and it's a priority, you can go to lydialifestyle.com. And of course, there are new videos here every Monday until there aren't. But there have been for a while, and I plan to continue making them. So keep on coming back on Mondays. And if there isn't one on Monday, then I don't know, reach out, see if I'm okay, because this is what I do. So love that you guys are here. Thank you for sharing. Beautiful, beautiful story. And yeah, you guys, like, here is to freedom. Congratulations again, Eileen. And this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, and Eileen signing off. Mwah. You have so many options. You can watch more videos. You can subscribe for new videos every Monday. You can even join our Facebook group with an amazing support community.